So you got some money. Now what do you do?
You're watching Timeless Talks, timeless subjects, information for life.
Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of your crops. So many people look past the Bible and the book of Proverbs in particular because they don't think that the Bible has much to say about financial information or great advice. It was written by our Creator, and He knows what we need. I'm hoping that you've already watched the first in this series of videos on financial matters from the book of Proverbs. It's entitled 7 Ways to Avoid Poverty. It's found over at timelesstalks.net. Hope that you'll go over there and take a visit. The book of Proverbs does remind us that rich people can act inappropriately when they have wealth. They can begin to look at their wealth as the way that they're protecting. Or they may choose to trust their wealth and their possessions instead of trusting God. They can mock the poor, or that is, make fun of the poor. They can even oppress the poor. Rich people oftentimes become perverse themselves. If you want the scriptures that goes with these statements, take a moment, go over to timelesstalks.net. You'll find the link here in the description. And there I want you to look to the side and notice the resources that you have available to you, including notes on this particular video. From our opening statement about honoring God with your wealth, we certainly understand that it's possible for rich people to be able to honor God using their wealth and their possessions. Now, how do they go about doing that? One way to honor God is to be generous. Let's read from 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 18. They are to do good, to be rich in good works, to be generous and ready to share. Next, we can see that the rich can be kind to the poor. Let's take a look at Proverbs chapter 14. Whoever oppresses the poor shows contempt for their maker, but whoever is kind to the needy honors God. We've already noted that the rich people oftentimes mock the poor. That's found over in Proverbs chapter 17. Whoever mocks the poor shows contempt for their maker. God sees the poor people as having a large amount of value, even though they are having financial issues. The rich can validate that poor individual by doing things like working alongside them, maybe in a tragic thing like a tornado or a hurricane or an earthquake or flood. But when they work together, the rich gives value to that poor individual. The rich man can also cooperate and support those poor individuals. That's all they got to do is be there and help them and assist them. And what's more, the rich are capable of listening and hearing out the ideas of that poor individual. They may be down on their finances, but they may have a wisdom of their own. So instead of making fun of how bad they are at making financial decisions, instead, a rich person can validate and cooperate, and they could even listen to a poor person. By doing so, they're honoring God. The book of Proverbs also instructs the rich to share their food with the poor. The generous will themselves be blessed, for they share their food with the poor. One of the things that Jesus talked about in Matthew chapter 25, beginning in verse 31 and following, was about sharing food. Let's listen to what Jesus had to say. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? The king will reply, Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you did it for me. These people, having been described as the sheep, not the goats, they are the ones being welcomed into heaven itself, into that eternal inheritance prepared for you since the foundation of the world. They are the ones who fed those people who were hungry, and they gave something to drink to the people who were thirsty. These people being welcomed into heaven showed hospitality to the homeless, and they clothed the poor and the homeless. They also were the very people who went and took care of people who were sick. They even went to the jail and visited people there. We need an application for this, don't we? This is where the rubber meets the road. If you're watching this, you have a cell phone, or maybe a tablet, a laptop, a desktop computer. You might even be casting this on your large screen TV. Friend, every one of those things was not cheap, was it? It cost plenty of money for a cell phone, or a computer, and a large screen TV. Friend, that means you are rich. You are the one that needs to be generous and kind and compassionate on the poor, supporting them and validating them. You are one of the ones who need to be sharing what you have with the poor, no matter what it is. The poor do not have it, and you do. According to what he said in Proverbs, you need to be honoring Jesus by being kind to the poor. That's something worth thinking about, isn't it? We hope that you'll take a little while to go over to timelesstalks.net, where you'll find not only more information about this same subject just by following the link in the description, but you can also find so many other ways of learning. There's things that you can read. We're offering you classes directly, personally, or over the internet. We're just here to serve you. We want you to go to heaven. So that's why when we get to the end of so many of our videos, we're just expressing to you that we want you to be a part of what we're doing. We end almost every video the same way because we want you to not only have an opportunity, but to understand what we think about you and how much we care about you. We always say, may the good Lord take a liking to you. So until next time, goodbye for now.